What you see before you is data for a hypothetical class that has 17 students in it. I've got students' first name, their sex, male or female, their age, and also their score on exam number 1 out of 100 points. What I'm going to do here is demonstrate how we can use data that is laid out as such as we have here, the raw data where case-by-case information is presented in Excel to construct a crosstab with these data. And I'm going to look at a crosstab that includes student sex and their exam score. Now what I'm going to do is categorize exam score either as they fall from 0 to 79.9 points for the exam, maybe a C or below, and 80 or above, a B or above perhaps. What we're going to do is use the COUNTIFS function. In that very first cell, what we want are only women in the class whose scores are below 80 points. So we're using the COUNTIFS function equal COUNTIFS open parenthesis. Now I'm going to highlight the range B2 through B18 that contains the information for the independent variable sex, comma. Now I'm going to indicate then the cases that will count in this cell are those that have a value of female in column B, comma. Now identify the second criteria range, and this is going to be the range of D2 through D18 where the exam score is provided, comma. And now to identify the range, it's going to be double quotation marks, less than 80, close double quotation marks, and hit return now. And we see there are 5 women in this class who have exam scores that are below 80 points. Now, to make things a little bit easier for me, what I'm going to do is copy this formula into the other cells and modify it step by step. But to do so, what I'm going to do is fix then the cell range for each of these criteria by including dollar values. So now B2 through B18 is going to be fixed no matter what cell I copy that into this formula into. And I'll do the same thing with the range D2 through D18. And if you think about it, the reason why we can do this and simplify the process is we're referring to the exact same information for both sex and also exams. What is going to differ from one cell to the next is going to be what criteria values are we using. So let's copy this across for men, and highlighting that cell, the only thing we're going to change here for that very first row is going to be the value male will be selected. So this will select now or count the number of cases that satisfy 2 conditions. That is, they're men and they have exam scores less than 80. Hit return, and there are 2 individuals that meet both criteria here in this example. Now let's highlight this row and I'll just copy it down. Now in this case, what you'll notice in that very first cell under female, we want to keep female for the very first criterion value. What we want to do though, however, is change the criterion value for the exam score to greater than or equal to 80. Hit return, and there are 5 women who fall into that category. Now for the last category for males, we again keep the male criterion value for sex for this column, for the cell. But what we want to do is now change the criterion value for exam score to greater than or equal to 80. And there are 5 individuals that fit both of those criteria. Let me go ahead and now finish out. Let me also have row totals here as well. And I should have 17 cases in the total column, or cell rather, which I do. And let me go ahead and I'll just add here a solid border around the values. Here we are, border. I'll make a little solid one, outline, and hit return. And if you wish, perhaps what we would like to do now is to perhaps center this information. And there we have a nice looking crosstab that reports the frequencies for sex by exam score. For this second example of using Excel functions to construct a crosstab when we have the data laid out case by case, I've got data for 3 variables from the 2016 General Social Survey. The very first variable ID in column A is nothing more than the respondent identification number. In column B is the variable age in years. And also in column C is responses for the general happiness item in the General Social Survey. Now, the general happiness item asks individuals to respond to the question, taken all together, how would you say things are going these days? Would you say that you are very happy, pretty happy, or not too happy? I have down below here what the values of 1, 2, and 3 refer to for this given item. And what we're going to do is use that information along with age in order to construct a crosstab. Now, certainly what we've got to do with our age variable is to combine age categories together. So I've created 3 categories. Individuals who have ages 18 to 39, that's the youngest to 39 years of age, then 40 to 59 years of age, and 60 plus years of age. Now, one thing about the 60 plus years of age category, the highest value for a valid age is 89, as it's recorded here. And 89 in the General Social Survey is used to refer to 89 years of age or higher. So we're going to combine categories together. Now, if we look at the number of cases we actually have, I'll just scroll down very quickly here. And you'll notice as we go down to beyond 2,000 rows, we see that the data contains responses for 2,867 individuals. So our data range for the actual data themselves go from row 2 all the way down to row 2,868. Now, for some of this information we'll find, especially the variable happy, there will be some missing data. For example, we see here for case or ID number 11, which is in row 12, a period D, and that's used to refer to somebody responded don't know. Well, we don't want to include that case into our crosstab. We'll just include valid values within the ranges that we have here. So let's go ahead and demonstrate how we can easily take all this information and construct a crosstab in Excel. We're going to use the COUNTIFS function again. So equal COUNTIFS, open parenthesis. Now I'm going to identify the first range for our first criteria, and that's going to be our criterion. That's going to be B2 through to B2868. Now I could have just easily clicked and dragged, but given how long the data set is, how many cases there are, I just jotted down that the highest value row is 2,868. Comma. Now I want to include cases that have ages that are less than 40 years. And since I have a less than sign, I've got to put then less than 40 in double quotation marks, comma. And now identify then what value they should have to fall into that very first row for the variable happy. And happy is in C2 through to C2868, comma. And what we'll put in here is the value of 3. We'll start off with not too happy in the very first row. Now, since I don't have a greater than or less than some sort of mathematical operator in front of 3, since it is numeric, I don't need to place that inside of double quotations. Close parentheses and go ahead, hit return. Now, one of the things that I can do here, since I'm going to copy this formula across to make things a little easier, so I'm not typing the same formula in several times, I'm going to fix the data range from B2 through B2868, since they're going to be in the exact same cells for all of these categories, and also the same thing for the variable happy. That's in C2 through C2868. Hit return, and you notice there are 147 individuals in this survey who responded not too happy and who are also in their age range 18 to 39. Let me go ahead and copy this across to the age category 40 to 59. And what we're going to have to do here now is modify the criteria for age. I want to start at age 40, but this is going to be greater than and equal to 40. Now I'm going to add here another category, again B2 to B2868, comma, and now I want to have individuals who are less than 60 years of age. So for this particular cell, it's going to count all those individuals who have ages greater than or equal to 40 but less than 60, which is exactly what we want. And I'm also going to make this a fixed reference. And again, we're going to use then for the happy column a value of 3. And there are 168 individuals in the survey who responded they are not too happy and are between the ages of 40 to 59. Let me copy this across to the next cell, and all I'm going to do here is change then the age range criteria. That's going to be greater than or equal to 60 and less than, I'll put here, less than or equal to 89, since that's the highest value for numerical response here. Now, if I just have it greater than or equal to 60, what it's going to do for any cases that's missing information for age is going to add it. So what Excel does, it treats missing data as though it's the highest values in your range. That's why we need to have an upper limit here. And again, I want to use identify the category of not too happy, which is a value of 3. And there are 135 people in the survey who indicate that they are not too happy and are 60 years of age or older. Let me go ahead and highlight this row, and I'm going to copy it down into the next row. Now here I'm not going to change the age criterion. Instead, what I'm going to do is change the criterion for happy to a value of 2. The same thing here for the next cell. I'm going to change the criterion 2 for happy, but keep the same age range. And lastly, also change this to 2 as well. Let's take that row and copy it down to the next row. And again, since I'm copying it down, I don't need to change the criteria for age for any of these cells. All I'm doing is changing the criteria for response to the happiness question. And so they all will have a value of 1, which means very happy in the survey. Now to finish this up, let's also create totals for the margins. And right there we have it. So while there are 2,867 individuals that were surveyed by the General Social Survey, we notice we only have valid data for both questions for 2,849 individuals. Not much missing data at all, really, considering. Let me go ahead and highlight the cells that contain the cross of these two categories. And what I'm going to do is just put a thick border around it to separate those from or distinguish those cells from the marginal totals we see on the margins of the table. And right there you have it. Easy way of constructing a crosstab even though we have a large number of cases.